Whether you're wishing upon a star, partying under the sea, exploring a whole new world, letting it go, or feeling the love tonight, it's an accepted absolute truth that Disney films are pure magic. And that's where our list of the 25 best Disney animated movies comes in. Beasts and Beauties, Ladies and Tramps, Princesses and Frogs, Walt Disney Animation Studios has been creating sublime, groundbreaking entertainment for over 100 years. And its feature films, starting with 1937's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, has cemented a cinematic legacy. As we now rank the 25 greatest Disney animated films, sorry, no Pixar on this list, folks. That's a different list. Please keep in mind that this was a Herculean effort involving the weighing of time-honored classics,
don't mind if I do,
new upstart arrivals,
haha, thank goodness,
the famed 90s resurgence/revival,
Long live the king,
and our own individual favorites.
Pull the lever, Crunk.
It's a blending of the best and brightest that Disney has to offer. Mirror, mirror on the wall, what's the fairest Disney film of all? Let's take a journey of whimsy, wonder, and wickedness. Here are our picks for the 25 best Disney animated movies of all time. Encanto was Disney's 60th animated film, and it remains one of its brightest. The film is set in Colombia and is a celebration of not only that beautiful country and its people, but also how we can overcome family trauma and learn there is so much more going on inside of us than we may show on the surface. Although this film leans into magical realism and deals with characters with super strength, shape-shifting abilities, and more, these are all stand-ins for different members of most families. In step with that, Lin-Manuel Miranda's fantastic songs help reveal so much about Encanto's Madrigal family and keep us singing and dancing long after the credits roll.
A very merry birthday
to me,
to you. A very merry birthday
for me,
for you.
Based on the surreal mid-Victorian-era novels by Lewis Carroll, 1951's Alice in Wonderland wasn't received well by critics when it was first released. But since then, it's been hailed a triumph of animation far ahead of its time.
Time! The time! Who's got the time?
No time. Hello, goodbye. I'm late.
With bold and vibrant colors, trippy characters voiced by luminaries like Sterling Holloway and Ed Wynn,
oh, what a delightful time!
And an abstract adventure that attracted the 60s counterculture some years later, Alice in Wonderland has become a somewhat subversive cult classic among the Disney canon.
Well, she simply said that you're a fat, pompous, bad-tempered old tyrant.
Combining the Carroll books Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, this fun and flashy film utilized iconic artist Mary Blair to create a narrative full of popping wonders and dreamlike oddities.
A very merry birthday to you.
oh yeah.
More of an out-and-out comedy than most Disney offerings, and coming on the heels of Disney's 90s resurgence, 2000's The Emperor's New Groove was a slight detour from the more traditional studio fare in favor of a slapstick-driven mismatched buddy adventure featuring a more markedly Chuck Jones cartoonish animation style. Featuring the voices of David Spade, John Goodman, and Patrick Warburton,
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
New Groove is a redemption tale centered on an arrogant, teenage Incan emperor named Cusco who is transformed into a llama by his ex-advisor.
What? A llama? He's supposed to be dead!
Yeah, weird.
The roller coaster production for the film, which began as a more mature and traditional Disney story called Kingdom of the Sun, saw the entire project change packaging and switch tone after the box office disappointments of both Pocahontas and The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Though New Groove is purposefully less grand and epic than most Disney offerings, it's still a hardy and hip hero's journey filled with unabashed silliness and nonsense.
Uh-oh.
Don't tell me. We're about to go over a huge waterfowl.
Yep.
Sharp rocks at the bottom?
Most likely.
Bring it on.
So this is love. So this is love.
Though not the first adaptation or retelling of the famous fairy tale, Disney's 1950s box office smash Cinderella is truly iconic.
Oh, it's a beautiful dress.
As one of the biggest risks of Walt Disney's career, Cinderella would pay off big time, becoming his most successful film since Snow White and helping save Disney Animation after a string of underperforming films that saddled the studio with a $4 billion debt. With a tighter initial budget that forced filmmakers to shoot in live-action first, Cinderella would overcome numerous obstacles, delighting moviegoers with imaginative art, glowing colors, mischievous humor, memorable songs, and an endearing rags-to-riches story about unjust oppression and triumphant reward. The glass slipper, the fairy godmother, Jack and Gus, Cinderella is a parade of majestic moments.
But you see, I have the other slipper.
I know you, the gleam in your eyes is so familiar a gleam.
As the last of the classic animated fairy tales produced by Walt Disney himself, 1959's Sleeping Beauty was initially a disappointment at the box office.
And we thought she'd be so happy.
But has come to be recognized as one of the greatest and most beloved of Disney's golden era. This is the studio at its most iconic, with frolicking woodland creatures, a warbling princess, an evil sorceress, and handsome prince on a majestic steed. Filled with vibrant color, modern designs, and music based on the Tchaikovsky ballet, it looks and sounds different than any of the films that came before. The meticulously hand-painted cells inspired by medieval art have a stylized look to them and a striking palette filled with unusual combinations of violet, green, ochre, indigo, and fuchsia. The final climactic battle between Prince Philip and Maleficent in the form of a gigantic dragon remains one of the most beautiful and thrilling sequences ever animated. With a shared spaghetti string kiss that would become a landmark moment for every rom-com to follow it, Lady and the Tramp was a massive hit for Disney back in 1955, a love story that still endures the test of time. Based on the antics of story developer Joe Grant's own English Springer Spaniel Lady, combined with Ward Green's short story Happy Day and the Whistling Dog, Lady and the Tramp created mismatched magic set to songs co-written by pop singer Peggy Lee.
He's a tramp. He's a rover. And there's nothing more to say.
As the first animated feature filmed in the new CinemaScope widescreen process, Lady and the Tramp captivated crowds with the story of the refined and proper lady falling for a stray streetwise mutt called Tramp. During production, Disney offices were filled with live animals for the animators to reference so that the tale could be told exclusively from the point of view of the animals. The story may not have the scale of other Disney classics, but the simple charm and richly colored animation make it one of the best of the bunch.
And it's all ours for the taking, Pidge. It's all ours.
This instant classic from 2010 featured Disney's charming take on the German fairy tale Rapunzel. With the company momentarily focused on gender-neutral titling, as we'd see again with 2013's Frozen, Tangled told the story of a young princess with magical long hair, voiced by Mandy Moore, who's held prisoner by a woman who uses the girl's innate powers to cheat death.
Mine. Rapunzel.
With 3D art inspired by oil-on-canvas Rococo-style paintings, Tangled was a compelling and complex mix of adventure and romance that brought together both modern and classic elements of Disney. Tangled, while wildly loved by the fans, also holds the strange distinction of being the most expensive animated feature of all time thanks to an extremely long development process as well as extensive testing done for the animation processes.
Now that I see you.
Loosely based on a story that, in turn, is loosely based on the Brothers Grimm fairy tale The Frog Prince, Disney's Princess and the Frog took the fairy tale out of Europe and perfectly placed it in America. 1920s New Orleans to be specific. Taking cues from the studio classics like Lady and the Tramp and Bambi, 2009's The Princess and the Frog would dip its toe into the past as the first Disney film after a 6-year break to be a traditional hand-drawn feature. It would also look ahead to the future, however, as Anika Noni Rose's Tiana, a 19-year-old waitress who dreams of owning her own restaurant, would be the first ever Black Disney princess. The film's old-fashioned Bayou charm harkens back to the studio's golden era, helping it stand out during a time when animated features were riddled with pop culture gags and goofs. While the story enchants with smart and sweet swampland critters, evil voodoo sorcerers, and ageless themes.
101!
101? Well, where did they all come from?
Oh, Pongo, you old rascal!
One of the most witty and entertaining Disney films of all time, with one of the most memorable villains in cinema history, the quasi-musical 101 Dalmatians from 1961 gave audiences a scrappier, sketchier animation style thanks to new Xerox technology, coupled with a fun family adventure about a litter of Dalmatian puppies who were kidnapped by a wealthy, fashion-obsessed heiress who wants to use their fur to make into coats. It's the Betty Lou Gerson-voiced Cruella de Vil and her renowned theme song that steal the show, however.
Anita, darling.
How are you?
Miserable, darling, as usual, perfectly wretched.
Rumored to have been modeled after Zsa Zsa Gabor, Cruella's look, flair, and crazed cackle instantly infused her into the ranks of the most malicious movie evildoers of all time.
We'll find the little mongrels if it takes till next Christmas. Now get going!
Though not a plush spectacle, 101 Dalmatians runneth over with heart, humor, and dog-manity.
We'll have a Dalmatian plantation. A Dalmatian plantation, I say.
Why, he flies just like an eagle. That's better than airplane. Brother, now I've seen everything.
Despite World War II spelling out box office doom for most of Disney's films in the 40s, the classic Dumbo from 1941, which was purposefully designed to be short and bare-bones simple, managed to be the most successful picture for the studio in that decade. At 64 minutes, Dumbo was a pleasant, straightforward alternative to the ambition of Fantasia from the previous year. Though modest in delivery, Dumbo, about a lowly circus elephant that's constantly and cruelly ridiculed for having comically oversized ears, stands as one of the most precious and endearing animated films of all time. With simpler animation than its predecessors and watercolor backgrounds, Dumbo is a small story that delivers a giant-sized emotional punch, teaching us that while we all might yearn to be like everyone else, it's our differences that define us and make us special.
Let's show up, Dumbo! How it died!
Come on, Johnny, what are we waiting for?
Using amiable anthropomorphic animals to tell the legend of Robin Hood, this offbeat oddball gem from 1973 featured acclaimed folksy songs and a Butch and Sundance buddy movie tone that helped it become, at the time, Disney's highest-grossing film to date.
Reminiscing this night and having such a good time. Oodle-lolly, golly, what a day.
Robin Hood takes some knocks because it features some recycled bits of animation, and its low-key conversational charm is way different from the majesty showcased in other company classics. But sometimes simpler designs and humbler approaches make for the most beloved stories. Disney's rollicking 1999 adaptation of Tarzan of the Apes by Edgar Rice Burroughs capped off the studio's 90s win streak with an animated feast of sweeping 3D backgrounds using a then new technique called deep canvas that allows CGI to reassemble a traditional painting. With a revolutionary visual flow and style that pushes the envelope of the entire medium and Academy Award-winning music from Phil Collins, Tarzan is a spirited, thrilling spectacle featuring rich storytelling and colorful conceived art that put a new special spin on the much-told tale of a young man raised by gorillas in the jungles of Africa. Hercules is definitely a film that's grown in notoriety and appreciation in the years since its release in 1997. Hercules, loosely based on the legendary son of Zeus Hercules, is a fun mix of Preston Sturges-style screwball comedy from Hollywood's bygone era and 90s pop culture beats.
What are those?
I don't know. I thought they looked kind of dashing.
It's a rollicking hero's quest seasoned with a score inspired by gospel and R&B music, about an unlikely do-gooder torn between two worlds. A fun blending of pluckiness,
a couple of rodents looking for a theme park.
Who you calling a rodent, sister?
Fast-paced action, and animation based on English cartoonist Gerald Scarfe, Hercules features memorable songs, an inspired wisecracking villain.
Everybody's got a weakness. I mean, for what? Pandora, it was the box thing. For the Trojans, hey, they bet on the wrong horse, okay?
And a feisty heroine resistant to being the classic damsel in distress.
I'm a damsel. I'm in distress. I can handle this. Have a nice day.
Bambi. It's strange that such a sweet-sounding, playful work should be synonymous with childhood trauma. The 1942 film's most memorable scene sees Bambi's mother murdered by a man and the young fawn desperately searching for her in the snow. It's the sort of thing that stays with you. But Bambi is more than just that scene. It's a tale about the loss of innocence, but also one about growing up, accepting responsibilities, and finding out that while loved ones can't be replaced, you can build a family of your own. And it's not all somber either. In Thumper, Disney created one of the best, most beloved comic characters. Unlike Disney's other movies of the era, Bambi doesn't feature magic or overly fantastical elements. The animation is delicate, more fable-like in quality, and all the more potent and emotional for it.
There are no stings on me.
Disney's defining animated feature based on Italian children's novel The Adventures of Pinocchio by Carlo Collodi was hailed by critics as a brilliant and masterful follow-up to Snow White.
To make Geppetto's wish come true will be entirely up to you.
Up to me?
Audiences disagreed, however, and the studio's second outing was nothing short of a box office disaster when it was first released in 1940. Pinocchio would get a re-release a few years later and recoup most of its losses, only then becoming the pop culture phenomenon we know it as today. The classic story of a wooden puppet boy named Pinocchio brought to life by a blue fairy and out to earn permanent humanity by being brave, truthful, and unselfish is largely considered to be the apex of animation, Disney or other. With smart Alex silliness and sinister scariness, along with a nose that grows with each lie and a singing conscience cricket named Jiminy,
give a little whistle.
Pinocchio is a beautifully crafted saga. The last film Walt Disney himself worked on, 1967's The Jungle Book, is a lively and hilarious romp following a 10-year-old boy named Mowgli. Raised in the Indian jungle by wolves, he navigates through an adventure with panthers, pythons, tigers, and a carefree bear named Baloo.
Oh, we don't do that here. No, you're tickling. I can't stand that tickling.
With delightful tunes by Robert and Richard Sherman, and a sublime story that we'd see echoed a bit later in both The Lion King and Tarzan, The Jungle Book emits a funky, trippy vibe that's helped it remain a family favorite for 50 years. even more so than most of Disney's more famous prestige projects. It's a blessed blue sky classic. As Disney's first ever full-length animated feature, 1937's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is the movie that launched a dynasty. While it certainly wowed audiences at the time who were still accustomed to short, simplistic cartoons, Snow White still retains its appeal even among the glitzier, flashier animated films of the 21st century. All movies, be they live action or animated, are meant to appeal to the viewer's emotions. Snow White is one of Disney's most heartfelt and engaging efforts, transforming the classic Brothers Grimm tale into a rousing, family-friendly adventure. Here, all a princess needed to find her true love was a helpful band of dwarves, a few catchy tunes, and quality animation that still holds up today. At a glance, 2013's Frozen appears to be standard Disney fare. Fairy tale castles, beautiful princesses, family secrets, dashing princes, and plucky sidekicks.
Oh, look at that. I've been impaled.
But it does much to play around with those elements, subvert expectations, and tell a much more modern type of Disney story. As Elsa's cryokinetic powers alienate her from her family and society, she spends most of her childhood locked away in her bedroom, unable to play with her sister. The overarching love story here isn't about Elsa or Anna finding their prince, but the two sisters rebuilding their fractured relationship. Smartly, the old Disney trope of a princess kiss breaking the spell is reworked here. It's the sisters' love for one another that is capable of thawing a frozen heart. In so many ways, Frozen feels like classic Disney, but its story is refreshingly modern. It also had this little song called Let It Go that proved to be pretty popular.
The cold never bothered me anyway.
Coming on the heels of Disney films like The Hunchback of Notre Dame and Hercules, 1998's Mulan took the tried and true Disney coming-of-age story approach with a twist. As a main character, Mulan has more in common with the struggles of Aladdin or Simba than the female Disney heroines that came before her, and as such, it's easy to label her as Disney Animation's first action heroine. Mulan's driving ambition was to bring honor to her family and save her country, shirking romantic responsibilities in the process, in a theme that Disney Animation Studios didn't really revisit again until 2016's Moana. Between Ming-Na Wen and Eddie Murphy's excellent voice acting performances,
who are you? We're in a war, man! There's no time for stupid questions! I should have your hat for that!
And the film's stunning animation and catchy songs, Mulan was a standout in a decade loaded with standout Disney animated films. Featuring soaring songs by Lin-Manuel Miranda and Opetaya Foai, Moana first set sail in 2016 and came with lively and layered characters and all-worthy 3D animation. Moana is an inspiring and ambitious addition to the best Disney has to offer. The story of Moana, the strong-willed daughter of a chief of a Polynesian village who is chosen by the ocean itself to reunite a mystical relic with a goddess, is one of heart-and-hand heroism, calling for the peoples of the world to embrace their family and community. And who can resist Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as the demigod Maui? Myths, mirth, and majestic musical numbers, Moana has it all. A Disney masterpiece and a milestone in animation as a whole, there is still so much to praise about 1940's Fantasia, even now almost 80 years since it was released. The episodic, mostly non-narrative epic is of course set to various pieces of famous orchestral music. Resulting in sequences like the climactic Night on Bald Mountain that are hallmarks of the genre. Technically peerless, featuring animation that is still among the best ever created, the film was an experiment that beautifully blended pop culture with classic music, bewildering and dazzling viewers for generations.
My congratulations, sir.
Congratulations to you, Mickey.
Gee, thanks. Well, so long.
Ariel?
The 1970s and 80s were lean years for Walt Disney feature animation. After basically inventing the genre and perfecting it to an art form, the studio's reputation suffered from a string of forgettable films like The Black Cauldron and The Great Mouse Detective. But that all changed in 1989 with the release of The Little Mermaid, a return to the glorious musical fantasies of Disney's past.
Cushion. Strings. Winds. Words.
Telling the tale of a mermaid named Ariel who dreams of becoming human and falls in love with a prince, the film had all the qualities of an extravagant Broadway musical and beautiful animation to match. Its numbers from the brilliant team of Alan Menken and Howard Ashman, songs like Part of Your World and Under the Sea, became instant classics worthy of that Disney legacy. And the film's success would usher in a renaissance for Disney animation that dominated the decade to come.
Aladdin.
Aladdin! Hello, Aladdin. Nice to have you on the show. Can we call you Al, or maybe just Din? Or how about Laddie? Sounds like, here, boy. Come on, Laddie.
Boasting one of Disney's catchiest soundtracks, courtesy of composer Alan Menken and songwriters Howard Ashman and Tim Rice, plus an iconic performance from Robin Williams as the genie.
10,000 years will give you such a crick in the neck.
It's no surprise that Aladdin became the highest-grossing film of 1992, beating hits like Batman Returns, Sister Act, and The Bodyguard for a domestic total of $217 million and $504 million worldwide.
Just a handful of this stuff would make me richer than the Sultan. Abu! Don't touch anything.
The story of a scrappy street rat turned prince is based on a Middle Eastern folktale from 1001 Nights, better known as Arabian Nights in English, and was originally pitched in 1988 by Ashman, who unfortunately didn't live to see the finished product. The project had a surprisingly tumultuous history considering how iconic it became. Studio head Jeffrey Katzenberg reportedly didn't care for the first draft of the screenplay by directors John Musker and Ron Clements, and in April 1991 asked the duo to completely rewrite the story without pushing back Aladdin's scheduled November 25, 1992 release date. But the time crunch clearly didn't affect the quality. Aladdin remains one of the most beloved films from Disney's Renaissance era, spawning 2 direct-to-video sequels, an animated series, a Broadway adaptation, and a live-action remake from Guy Ritchie.
You never had a friend like me.
Coming at the height of the Disney animation revival of the early 1990s, The Lion King was a huge hit. In fact, it remains the highest-grossing traditionally animated film ever released. Today, Simba, Scar, and Mufasa are household names thanks to the enormous popularity of not just this film, but of the sequels and the soundtracks and Broadway plays and all the rest of it that have been based on the original. But back in 1994, who could have predicted that these characters would enter the lexicon of Disney's most popular creations?
How did you? Where did you come from?
This is cool. It's great to see you.
Simba's journey to adulthood, retribution, and his rightful place as the Lion King isn't an especially new or groundbreaking tale. On the contrary, it's full of tried and true Disney hallmarks, a tragic origin, comic animal sidekicks, life lessons learned, etc. And yet it works amazingly well. Perhaps because of the unique vibe given the proceedings by the artist's African landscapes and the percussive beats of composers Elton John and Tim Rice. The film combines traditional concepts with new and interesting angles. Let's call it the Disney Circle of Life.
Just watch, I'm going to make Belle my wife.
There's a reason Beauty and the Beast became the first full-length animated feature to ever be nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. It's a stunning work of art. As part of Disney's 90s animation return to glory, the movie takes a tale as old as time, it spins it into a timely tale of acceptance that transcends its genre. Beauty and the Beast is bolstered by its gorgeous animation, fantastic voice acting, and Alan Menken and Howard Ashman's music, which has since become some of Disney's most iconic. Though we may take it for granted now, Beauty and the Beast marked a major shift in how Disney approached its princess tales. And looking back, we can see this film is an obvious departure from the days of Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty. Indeed, its impact can still be felt from Mulan to Moana. Beauty and the Beast set a new bar for Disney Animation Studios when it was released in 1991, and it's a standard still felt across the board in the movies they make in the current era. But what's your favorite Disney animated film? Be sure to let us know in the comments, and like and subscribe to IGN wherever you watch.